Okay. Hello, I'm WavyImp, and welcome back to the Elder Scrolls 6 speculation series. So, a thing I want to make clear before we get into this is you'll hear my microphone going silent for a little while. That's because if I tap the wire too hard or I move the USB, it kind of cuts out. So, I'm going to keep an eye on my OBS studio to see when my voice will cut out, if it does, so I can do it. Anyway, in today's video, I want to... Okay, I sound like I'm really cocky. Alright, today's video, guys! But seriously, I wanted to talk about combat. Now, in the last video, I said I was going to do ideal shops, stores, and taverns. I think that'll be next video, because I've come up with a lot of ideas I wanted to talk about for combat. Is really going to be one of the shorter parts, so we'll just get straight into it. So, whoa, what's that phone? Doom noises? Okay, nothing at all. That'll probably go off a few times. I have a lot of YouTube. And for combat, so say we'll go through each type of one-handed. So we'll start with one-handed. So you'll have a sword, right? And I'll go for blocking as well. So when you attack someone, I won't be doing the ideal animations today because like I'm not really good at animation. So when you attack an NPC like a bandit, obviously there's going to be blood and violence, but if there's going to be like the cuts are going to be visible on their body, that's something I've seen modded before. I want it in the base game because it makes it look that much more realistic. Have the noises of the swords like, you know, realistic instead of just like a over the top noise. Have it kind of like smooth and like that. So yeah, cut should be visible, and and the more you attack, you should get tied up, because in real life, if you had a sword fight, you get tired, wouldn't you, from constantly swinging your arms around trying to kill the guy. If he's a really tough dude, then you'll get tired and he'll just crush you. So you have to go back, you have to like step back from the fight for a minute, you know, kind of, and the person you're fighting will get tired as well. So if you're fighting a really massive brute with heavy armor and a huge axe, and you get tired from swinging, which you'll get less tired the more you run around. When you upgrade your athletic skill, then he'll get tired out, and that'll give you an opportunity to come back and, you know, take him down. So that should be a thing. There's not much I wanted to say for one-handed. For two-handed, when you start, I think I'm going to talk about skills in this video as well, so skills being a different part. So for two-handed skill, if you pick up, right, so if you're level 15, the starting level, maybe level 1, depending on how they design the game, and you pick up like a Daedric or, you know, Dwarven or whatever kind of Warhammer and try and swing it around, your character's going to be really, really slow, because your character only has like one two-handed skill, so he'll be terrible at swinging, and it'll do less damage, and it'll be much slower, which gives the enemy a better chance to, you know, attack you. But yeah, the more you level up your two-handed from swinging, the more you can be able to wield that weapon, and that's why you need to start out using like iron two-handed weapons, because they're the easiest to swing, and you'll start with them, gradually move up to steel, and to mithril, then to adamantite, whatever's next after that, dwarven, ebony, whatever, until you can get the best tier at level 100. Not tier, definitely not tiers. No tiers in the game. I said there's a figure of speech. I'd hate a tier system, like in Fallout 76, but as game sim for all the weapons with blades, the cut should be visible. When two-handed weapon, they should be much, you know, much larger. If you chopped someone, if you slashed at someone with a two-handed sword in real life, Like they wouldn't just play a voice file and stagger a little bit. They probably have a massive cut on them and died right then. That's why two-handed weapons should be really good but slow. So they'd have a big cut, and then obviously there'll be a bleeding effect, which will, it won't gradually lower their health. It will knock them down, giving you a chance to kill them. But the stronger enemies obviously can take more hits, even from the large weapons, especially axes. Now, two-handed weapons are going to be rarer. You get the opportunity to start out with one if you want to play as a two-handed warrior. You get to start out, but they're much rarer because they're much better. Now, the weapon you'll start off with that's two-handed is not as good as the iron weapon. It'll be like perhaps a rusted iron, so it'll be really used, and weapon durability will be back. Weapon durability is something we need because it makes the player want to experience other weapons. It's similar to the thing with the new Zelda game. So when you get the Master Sword from the forest and you use it, you're like, yeah, awesome, I'm gonna use this for the rest of the game. But it'll run out of power, and then you'll be like, oh, I'll have to use the other weapons, which Nintendo didn't just put all those weapons in for no reason. It just didn't waste coding time for no reason. They want you to experience them. And that's the thing that Bethesda should do. Have a huge arsenal of weapons, and they'll break. Tells you to use other ones, and then you can repair them with repair hammers or smiths and shops. And with bows can't be repaired, I don't think, because in reality, because the weapons can break in different ways. Like a sword, like the blade can get chipped in half, on top of full life, and you can have the blade be taken out, replaced, or the hilt can come off, which won't really affect the weapon's durability. It'll just, maybe your character will mishandle it and you'll get a cut because there's no hilt. Maybe the guy will slash your hand, breaking the handle. But with bows, there'll be two ways that a bow can break. The string will snap from, the string will break from you using it, or if an enemy or if an NPC with a sword slashes at you while you're aiming at them with a bow, and they hit hard enough, then the wood of the bow, or the iron, depending on, more so wood, the wood will snap in half. And if it's just a longbow, a regular bow, then you can get it replaced for the same price as repairing any other weapon. But so if you have a Daedric bow and the enemy managed to snap it in half after, really strong weapon, then you won't be able to get Daedric replaced. No shops sell Daedric stuff. So weapons should be able to break in different ways, like battle axe, like one side of the axe will come off, handle will break. Maybe the more you use it, the steel will just fall off on its own. With daggers are much stronger because, they're much thicker and smaller. But, the edge will gradually become much blunter. That's the thing with swords as well. Blunt edges should be gradually comes. You have to get them sharpened at a grindstone. You can sharpen them, or you can have someone sharpen them. And with staffs, I don't think charge. There'll be a charge on there. When the charge runs out, it'll use up a small portion of your magicka to cast the spells. Maybe the spell gem will come out, the handle will snap, whatever. It'll explode if it's a terrible staff. But yeah, with spells, there's no way to break a spell really. But if you use a healing spell, like, the effect should make you feel like you're being healed. And if you have a cut on your body, that cut, an animation will play where it gets sewed back up again and good as new. And if you get shot with an arrow and just use a healing spell, that arrow's still going to, really sting you as you move. So you have to pull the arrow out and then use the spell, which will, heal up the arrow hole that you've got. getting rid of the pain. So you can't just walk around being a hedgehog with like 60 arrows in your face, walking into town, you know, with like 6,000 wheels of cheese in your inventory. But if it's a really powerful fire spell and you throw it at someone, it should be like Fallout where the the recipient just explodes, depending on, maybe it'll burn their body, it'll char their body, it'll explode them, it'll send body parts flying. I'm not a violent kid, you know, I don't have problems. This is just realistically now, because if you realistically threw a fireball at someone, they wouldn't just, you know, play a voice file. They'd probably explode, they'd probably fly away. I'm not a psychopath. This is what would happen if you had a fireball thrown at your face. Yeah, lightning, you know, it'd give you electric shock. If you were wet, if it was raining and you got wet from the rain, which is another thing that I'll discuss in the weathers video that I have planned. But if you're wet and you get hit by sparks, then it's going to give you electric shock, which is going to make you less effective in everything, make you slower, and damage you. And sparks will give off a burning effect, kind of like fire, because, you know, sparks are hot. Lightning will burn you. And then any other spells in the game that have each a unique look, a unique feel, a unique effect, basically. So Fireball 1, which is just the basic Fireball, won't be the same as Fireball 5, which will be, you know, a Master's level Fireball. Like Fireball 1 will just, you know, set parts of you on fire. That sounds way too bad, but, you know, give you a slight burning effect, maybe push you back a little, whereas Fireball 5 will bomb you. Again, I'm not a psychopath, this is realistic. Anyway, I think that's most of the weapons in the game. I want spears back. Spears are the thing I need. Throwing javelins. Yep, javelins, spears, throwing knife, shurikens, or throwing stars, whatever. Any throwing weapons they can think of. Spears, halberds, staffs, well, not staffs, staves. No, you know, the ones with, you know, double-edged blades, kind of like Darth Maul's lightsaber. You could have those, kind of like ninja sticks. You could have nunchucks in the game. You know, you could have any type of weapon, not just swords, axes, bows, and staffs. You have all sorts of weapons for each playstyle. So you want to be a throwing ninja, where you wear, you know, black light armor, and the color of your armor will determine your visibility as well. So you wear black leather armor, and you just throw, and you wear a face mask, and you just throwing things. Or you could be a soldier with medium armor, Imperial Legion armor, and a spear or javelin. You stay back and pellet people with javelin. Or you could have throwing knives. You could be a knife ninja. Or you could be a double-edged blade ninja. Or you could be any type of playstyle you want. This game is going to be the Elder Scrolls variety. That needs to be in the game, is variety. Skyrim's weapons were just Viking weapons, kind of. Vikings didn't really have a big selection of weapons. They had axes, swords, shields, and spears, and bows, and basic weapons. But, you know, you need the whole lot in here. And this is why Morrowind's the best game, because it had spears, halberd. It didn't have double-edged blades, but it had throwing stars, it had throwing knives, it had all this stuff. So that could be cool. And sieges. We need sieges in the game. So, say if you're... I don't want a civil war. I want this to be as different from Skyrim as possible. It cannot be like Skyrim. Like I said in my first video, I said I wanted it to be similar to Skyrim. I didn't know what I was saying. It was late at night, like I said. Nothing like Skyrim. There's going to be siege weapons, no civil war. Cities can clash with each other at random times, and you can partake in them if you want. And sieges could be real time. They cannot be scripted because it's the same then. So if you're manning a siege weapon and you fire, you know, a cannon, well, not really a cannon, like a fireball from the catapult, and it hits the wall, it could, you know, collapse the wall, allowing men to go in that way. But say in a different playthrough you shot it in the same place, maybe your character's a bit more inaccurate with archery. So it will miss, and perhaps it will hit a different wall, it will miss the city entirely, it will overshoot it, and hit a building inside the city. I'm not making much sense going like that, but bows, I haven't discussed bows yet, really. So when you're shooting, it needs to be affected. You need to, okay. If you shoot someone with an arrow, they're not just gonna keep running at you. They're gonna be like, "Oh, I've just been hit by an arrow," and it will really damage them. Because if you got shot in an arrow in real life, it probably hurt, and you probably wouldn't be able to swing your arm. But then again, bows are going to be hard to fire. Stronger enemies can take more hits, blah, blah, blah. You can start out with a bow, it's just a crappy bow. With smaller arrows, different sized arrows, different damage. Some arrows can be poisoned. Some can be blunt. If you want to, you know, give the enemy bruises, you can just blunt them. If you want to be a pacifist, they don't kill, they just, you know, bruise them and damage them, which, you know, stays them back, allowing you to run away. Like, you can be a pacifist. There isn't any scripted events that need you to kill anything, except maybe the final bosses or certain enemies. But any encounter you can definitely pacifist by knocking them out with fists. You can knock people out. You can choke them. Well, that's kind of not pacifist, is it? You can knock them out. You can send them running because you beat them up really bad. You can send them running. You can do all this stuff. Now this video is getting really long. It's approaching 20 minutes. It's at 17 minutes 40 by now. So yeah, that was the combat video. There's a lot more that I'd want to discuss in a future video, but I don't want to make these way too long, and these are long now. There's 18 minutes. So this has been Ultra 6 Speculation Combat. Next video is probably going to be stores. Goodbye. This video is too long.